All right, guys, we are here at the campaign forum. We'll be switching over cameras here in a second. So, as you get in here, if you got your questions, please send those questions over and we can get those questions asked. Hold on 1 second here. See if we good on this. I might need to put that battery pack in there. I think I'm gonna go with that battery pack. I think I'm going with the battery pack. So, guys, again, you see us. They're getting ready here right now, live at the Rec in Andrews. Please come on out if you are anywhere around, and if you can't make it, you can post your questions here live on Facebook, and I will write them down and get those questions up and asked for you. Now, I know we on Facebook, so don't think that you can ask any stupid kind of question and I'm going to ask it, because that's not what's going to happen. All right, so we are here alive. So y'all share this out. It's going to be a pretty long broadcast, I should say. And let me get this battery thing switched out here so that I can be assured that we won't run out of juice anytime soon.
Leadership is not just knowing what to do. It's assessing the obstacle that's blocking the way of what needs to be done. That's when experience and commitment come in. As you stand firm on your feet while in the trenches to make things better for all. Leadership is repairing the foundation, so the future grows from a solid base. The roadmap is set. There is no time to lose ground. Re-elect Mayor McCleary. He's fighting for all of us. Leadership is not just knowing what to do. It's assessing the obstacle that's blocking the way of what needs to be done. That's when experience and commitment come in. As you stand firm on your feet while in the trenches to make things better for all. Leadership is repairing the foundation, so the future grows from a solid base. The roadmap is set. There is no time to lose ground. Re-elect Mayor McCleary. He's fighting for all of us. Leadership is not just knowing what to do. It's assessing the obstacle that's blocking the way of what needs to be done. That's when experience and commitment come in. As you stand firm on your feet while in the trenches to make things better for all. Leadership is repairing the foundation, so the future grows from a solid base. The roadmap is set. There is no time to lose ground. Re-elect Mayor McCleary. He's fighting for all of us. Leadership is not just knowing what to do. It's assessing the obstacle that's blocking the way of what needs to be done. That's when experience and commitment come in. As you stand firm on your feet while in the trenches to make things better for all. Leadership is repairing the foundation, so the future grows from a solid base. The roadmap is set. There is no time to lose ground. Re-elect Mayor McCleary. He's fighting for all of us. Leadership is not just knowing what to do. It's assessing the obstacle that's blocking the way of what needs to be done. That's when experience and commitment come in. As you stand firm on your feet while in the trenches to make things better for all. Leadership is repairing the foundation, so the future grows from a solid base. The roadmap is set. There is no time to lose ground. Re-elect Mayor McCleary. He's fighting for all of us. Leadership is not just knowing what to do. It's assessing the obstacle that's blocking the way of what needs to be done. That's when experience and commitment come in. As you stand firm on your feet while in the trenches to make things better for all. Leadership is repairing the foundation, so the future grows from a solid base. The roadmap is set. There is no time to lose ground. Re-elect Mayor McCleary. He's fighting for all of us.
All right, guys, we're about to get started here. Again, come on in here. Kaji, come over here. Come on this side. Come get my phone. Yeah, let's let Mika know where you at. Let Mika know where you at. Let Mima know way over here. Again, y'all come on in here, get your questions in. We got people coming in. Looks like it's gonna be a full house here. But y'all make sure y'all make your way on in here. And again, if you can't make it, you will be able to ask your questions, post your questions right on here, and I'll get it on a sheet of paper and get it up front. And we can move right along here, broadcasting live. You know, this the camera on this computer is not all that bad. Again, everybody's coming in right now, so it should be a great turnout, and a lot of good questions should get asked. And if you have any questions, here's your time to get on live right now and ask those questions. All right, got a lot of citizens here. Well, I guess, and while we waiting, I might as well. All right, yo, we got the people in here. You talk to her? All right, guys, this is gonna be good right here. We get ready to go live here, live from the wreck. Okay, good, awesome. All right, so I'm gonna try to track this as much as I can and bring an outline. Okay, so everybody get on in here. We are live right now, so let's make this happen. Hey, yeah, I didn't mean it. All right, guys. Again, we are here at the Mayoral Forum, coming live, and the sound is going to come across nice and clear for you guys. So if you are having any problem hearing whenever the speaker begins to speak, let me know, and I will definitely fix that for you. Again, we are here live at the Rec. Okay, sweetie, don't do that. Yeah.
just reminded that I am a former military guy, and that we cross the line of departure on time. So I appreciate the reminder. And exactly right, because when you don't cross on time, bad things happen. Because all operations are based on time, activities, and event. So just because we're standing here, there's some other things going on over here that's shaping the fight, which is pretty appropriate for tonight. Okay, so before we get started, we'll let this young couple come on in. We're going to ask Reverend Chandler, sir, to come up and lead us in a word of prayer.
Do you want Reverend Chandler or you want Peter?
Let me get Reverend Chandler tonight. Let's get Reverend Chandler tonight.
Let me stand briefly and give Let me pray. Dear God, we thank you for being our God, and we thank you for the relationship and the connection that you have made possible tonight. We pray, dear God, that we will leave even better than we did when we arrived. Continue to enable our mayor to connect angels together for unity and for strength, and help us to help him do that. I claim that in the name of Christ. Amen. Amen.
Okay, thank you, sir. I want to recognize some folks before we get started. We have the Mayor Pro Tem that's here. We got Councilman Jamie Altman that's here with us. Any other of our elected officials? Okay, I know Amy is traveling, and any other candidates that are in here? Jamie Pineset, anybody else? No one else. So as you all know, we have eight folks running for the 3 seats we have on council. So there's 3 seats. That would be the seats that currently are held now by Mr. Jamie Altman, Miss Amy Flegler, Pinckney Flegler, and Mr. Rob Stamper. And the others are Abe Theaton, Mr. Eugene Thomas, and there's one other. And then there's 2 write-ins. Mr. Jeremiah Jackson and Mr. Grant, Deshaun Grant. And then, of course, for the seat I'm currently holding and expect to continue to hold after this point, it'll be myself and Pastor Dane Bieber. Baber is the young man that's challenging me right now. Today, just for clarification, the intent for this starting out a couple of weeks ago, was this to be a debate with myself and Dean Baber. He declined that. We went out several times. We already had a moderator selected, a very experienced moderator who served, I think, at least 1, but maybe 2 terms as a councilman in the city of Georgetown, and also moderated other events such as this and at the state level. So a very experienced moderator. And I believe that anybody that's running for a public seat should come and talk to the people. Should come and let you know what their plans are. If things are going so wrong that things are just that bad, come let the people know what it is that you're bringing to the table. Let them know what your experience is that is going to make things better than what you currently have. It is not the incumbent responsibility to set a debate. That could be done by anyone, any organization. It could be the NAACP. It could be any other nonprofit or just an interest group from the community that say, hey, I want to hear from you all. And that happened in across the board. A lot of the Facebook talk in terms of people asking for a debate, but that is a standard procedure, if you will, in this democratic process. So again, my opponent, if you will, declined that. So we're here tonight. So the format is a little bit different. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit, and I will address some questions that you may have. And I don't know if we have any cards back there we want to give out, because we want to, again, keep this very respectful. And I'll answer questions to the best of my ability, and we'll get through this. I can talk about Andrews all day, but we won't do that tonight, because most of you all in here look very familiar and has been following us along the way. Now, has everything been top notch? Of course not. That's not how these things go. And we all know, and if we're honest with ourselves, we know that Andrews has been challenged just like any other small city with a small budget and probably not all the expertise that's required to manage a town. You're going to go through some things. You're going to see things if you don't maintain. In our case, we own our own water and sewer system. So that's 25 miles of pipe for sewer and water. And so for some of us in here, those pipes are older than we are. And that's not a secret. And then if you don't manage things, all these other things, 1,000 things that's happening or are supposed to happen for the town, then things go bad. So then we're looking at about 35, 40 years, if not more, of things going unanswered. That when I came in with the administration we had then, again, I want to recognize I think Ms. Marva Session just came in. She served on the council for a very long time. Is very familiar with the challenges we have. But thank God, the things that he took me through, I have a little display up here to kind of remind folks, because again, some folks just thought I dropped off the turnip truck and just came in and started being the mayor. But for 30 years, I worked at the federal level. And a lot of folks think, just military people, you're hunters and killers. No, we got some of the smartest and brightest leaders coming out of our military across all services. Highly educated, highly trained, disciplined, and focused on the mission at hand, who can do more than one thing. So again, for those who forget, I'll bring out a little reminder out here, and we'll talk a little bit more about that, because that's exactly what it needs to deal with the multitude of things that we had going on simultaneously. We just can't work one thing at a time. So that's kind of an opening. So what you see here, I want you to remind everyone of these dates. It's critical now. We have one more day for early voting. That's tomorrow. Did Ms. Megan make it down there? All right. So Ms. Megan Thompson, she made it down today for early voting. So that's good stuff. Let's get down there. And I will tell you the other thing too before we get started is that there have been a couple of incidents where the person's name wasn't found on the roster or on the register. And they were very persistent. Oh, you're one of them. Yes, ma'am, as of today. So be persistent. If you know you were registered, speak with the director. Do not accept from one person that's telling you that you're not there. And if it is, then if they insist, you document it, you'll come back, we'll get with the team, and we'll have poll watchers that's going to be out there to make sure that everybody is doing what they're supposed to do. So I appreciate you being persistent because you're going to have to. So that's kind of what's happening right now with respect to the voting timeline. And of course, on the 7th, Tuesday, next Tuesday, right here is where we will vote. Inside and outside of Andrews, you'll be right here to vote. Now, I've got a ton of slides. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it, but the purpose for these slides is, again, to address those things that's been put out there that we don't have a plan for Andrews. The mayor hasn't done anything in the last 8 years. So I was just here sitting around doing nothing, I guess, playing checkers or something. I don't know. And just things that just not, does not add up. So we'll go through this thing. Come on in, sir. We'll go through these things real quick, and we'll go as fast as slow as you need me to do. But I want you to be informed, because when you leave here, you're going to have to make a decision on who you're going to vote for to be the mayor of this town for the next 4 years. And I want you to be informed and not misled. And I am the type of leader, again, I don't lead by fear. I'm not going to tell you that because we are still growing the police department that you're in grave danger. No, because we all have a responsibility as well to secure our own home and our vehicles and those things, and be vigilant on what's going on. It's just the crime rate here is no different anywhere else. Now, Chief Cockrell is working real hard to build that force back up. But then thank God we got assistance from the sheriff department. And for those who were at the festival, you see other agencies that came out. So that's what it's supposed to be with law enforcement. There shouldn't be any boundaries. Now, I know there are, and there's reasons for that. But when it comes down to it, mutual aid agreements and those things that help one another cover, because there's 5,000, it's probably more by now, 5,000 officers shortage in the state of South Carolina. Mr. Altman can tell you about that. He was one for almost 2 decades. And it was a challenge back then. The mayor pro tem will tell you, he at one point, 2 years of being on night shift by himself, straight. So this is not new. And I see Mr. Altman wave. He said, yeah, he was that the same thing. So, and you spoke on that very well at one of our council meetings. So to put fear into the community because of these challenges is just not right. That's not good leadership. You won't get that from me. I'm going to tell you the way it is. So here we go. Now, I put this up and I'll read it for those who can't see all of it. So above this line is all the things that I've been hearing, whether directly or on Facebook, of the things that the citizens are concerned about. We'll address all of these, and I'll read them off for those who are in the back. The actions below the line have gone unnoticed. Okay, so let me read off this list. So the water bill, we have the police recruitment and retention, gun violence, traffic control, homelessness, addiction, traffic control with the freight trucks, ambulance service, dangerous intersection at Martin Luther King and County Line Road. I think some of you are familiar with that. And we have this municipal complex and Heritage Festival. All those things seem to be a problem for some people. But we don't talk about the town financially is in good standing with the state for the last 8 years. That every audit has gone positive. There are things we have to tweak in there, so in order to get this next line, $18 million in grants and donations, this part has to be fixed first. I have to be right. So that rhetoric out there that we're talking about that we don't have grant writers or we're not getting grants, it's here. And if you'll get a pamphlet in your hand, and you have a pamphlet that kind of lays out what those grants are for. It tells you exactly where it's going. And then for those who know, and I spent about half of my career in government contracting. So I know government contracting and how you spend government money is very strict and restrictive. In other words, I can't tell them that I need this money for a water issue, and when I get the money, use it for sewer. You're asking for big trouble. And who's the signature on that line? I am. So when people tell you, they start talking about this stuff about you don't have the grants, and then you can take this grant money, you can take this $7 million that we have now for a multitude of things, and you'll see that in your pamphlet. I think it's 7.3 million. It has to go specifically to those things that we were approved for. I heard my opponent says, well, take that money and put it all on the meters. That's a recipe for jail time. I'm not going there. So we haven't heard about these things. We haven't heard about, the good standing. We're all about, and this young man will tell you because he signs all of the checks. And then again, the $18 million, and you look in your pamphlet, you'll see the details of it. A viable budget, which again, good debt. The good debt we talk about is some of those USDA loans that were taken out back in the 80s and 90s. I was in the military serving, and I didn't have anything to do with those. But I have the responsibility now to make sure they're paid. So that's the good debt. Just like your house. You buy a house, that's good debt. Now you go out here and buy a Maserati, that's probably not good debt. You're not going to get anything in return on that. So, but that's where we are. So again, when it came in, we had 2 consent orders. DHEC told us that your water and sewer system is in such disrepair that if you don't get it fixed, you're going to first be fined. And if you don't pay your fine and get these things fixed, then we will probably end up in court and a receivership action. And what does that mean? We can lose our water and sewer system. We lose our water and sewer system, we're going to lose about $2.5 million, which goes back into your maintenance and your salary for your people. So it's important. Now, I also note that Andrews have some of the best water in the state. Our wells are 800-900 feet deep, and it's only require chlorine to treat it. Everybody else who's dealing with the iron and all those things, things that they experienced in Michigan, we don't have those problems. We have 3 wells. They pump in the neighborhood of about 400 gallons per minute. 400 gallons per minute. And so that's regulated in terms of, so we have plenty of water to supply our customers. We have right at 1,600 taps. So we got plenty of water, and it's documented that it's good water. Now the sewer, so we met those requirements, and now we're just maintaining the maintenance on the water system. We have a third party that comes out and treat it. That's just another set of eyes to make sure that our water is treated and potable, safe for drinking. Now, so that's taken care of. DHEC say, all right, you're good to go. Now we're still working on those things for the sewer, which is manholes. We got a neighborhood of 400 or 500 manholes out here, and we're still finding manholes. Some of them are cracked, some of them. So those things we're going to have to replace. So until we do that, DHEC going to keep that order on us. And I'll tell you a quick story. January of this year, we had that bad weather and the sewer issue up there by McDonald's, and everybody was going crazy. So, and we knew we just had to find where the blockage was. We got a problem with people, putting grease in the system. Grease and other foreign objects will cause these wads that box the sewer. And they all at some point come together to get to Cherry Street, whereas they're collected and then transported out to Georgetown. But if you have blocks of grease, hair, feminine hygiene, all that stuff, cloth, all that stuff gets in there and it causes a problem. So in January, we just had this perfect storm. So about 3 areas we didn't know of along Ashland, where this young lady lives, and up there by Exxon. All those things happened at once. And it happened at the same time that the AT&T tower was being installed, around that time, where they severed one of our main lines. So we had big problems. But again, thank God for these young ladies and men that we have on the public works. They worked very hard. They found it. And in about 3 days, we had things flowing again. But during that time, unbeknownst to me, we'll get to why I have a challenger at this point in time. So this email I kept for a long time. There's a councilman on the county council right now who worked at DHEC for a very long time. So now he's a councilman. Then of course we have 2 councilmen that represents Andrews, supposed to. So this email in relation to what was going on in January says, let me see where we start at. It's important because, again, this helps you understand why folks was, I guess, encouraged to come and run against me. Let me see where this thing starts. So it says, gentlemen, and I'll tell you who they are in a minute. It said, I contacted DHEC today about the Andrews sewer situation and was referred to DHEC's enforcement contact for sewer systems. He said he is out of the office, but I left him a message to call me to discuss the options, our options. I don't know what options they think they had, but because it's Andrews' system, but to discuss our options for bringing the town of Andrews into compliance with their sewer system. When he gets back in touch with me, I will let you know what he says. So one of our council members replied, wow, I would like to discuss this further in detail. That came from one of the councilmen that represent us. So I guess he got his reply. This gentleman got his reply back from DHEC. He said, good afternoon. I just got off the phone with the general counsel, an attorney, for DHEC, and he informed me that Andrews is under consent order and essentially hasn't complied with any of the terms of the order. That's not true. He said he is in the process of filing an action against them for noncompliance and essentially put them back in court so they can prove they have done what the order expressly told them they had to do. So he is there. And will most likely, he said there will most likely be a fine. So when DHEC finds you, that's in the neighborhood of about $10,000, and they can fine you $10,000 a day if they wanted to. He goes on to say, for certain, there will most likely be a fine for certain, but that is if the court is so inclined. And he said possibly someone will go to jail. And in parentheses, he says the mayor. Possibly the mayor. could sit in jail until the order is complied with. That being said, the town better have a good lawyer, as the court documents will be filed by the end of this week or early next week. I know this won't fix the problems, but it will definitely light a fire under the south end of the city councilors. Signed, Clint Elliott. That was Clint Elliott to Raymond Newton in Everett, Carolina. So who plots? If you have the expertise, then you come down and you work with the team. If you have the expertise and as leaders, you come down. Well, his wishes didn't come through, obviously, because we could defend where we were. We could defend what was going on with the system. It wasn't from neglect. Okay? We've been dealing with this since I got here. It is in better shape now, but you're going to have these issues as things go on. You'll have them again as it gets colder, because we're not going to have everybody to comply with, or we can be disciplined, not putting grease and other things in. That's going to happen. We'll just have to find it. I think we know the system well enough. But for that to happen, so that's just, you keep that in mind as we go through this thing. So then, if you recall, when my opposition had his first interview after he filed, he said he was pressured to tell why he's running. Who encouraged him? Raymond Newton. Now, I don't know where do we do this at? This is the United States. Again, I fought in foreign land, and I expect that from the enemy. I don't expect that from people who are supposed to be representing this town. So you go back in your memory and see when Raymond Newton was on the ground in a hole fixing a pipe, or Everett, Carolina, or Dean Baber. You go back 8 years and see how many times they've been to a town council meeting. I haven't missed one, because it's that important. So you got to understand is, I wasn't going to go there, but again, when you start talking about nothing has happened, and as hard as these folks around here, this small team works, there's 3 gentlemen that's sitting right at this table here that's always at the meetings. They know what's going on. That's disingenuous, and you're basically lying to the people. Again, more scare tactics. And I'm not going to let you get away with that, because although these things here are workable, they're a challenge, you still can't discount this, because this is really what's holding us in, and these folks are working this. So we'll talk real quick about the police situation. For those of you who either were at the meeting with the sheriff the other night, they had a meeting here in town. Somehow they forgot to let the chief know that it was going to happen. I don't know how that happens. Yeah. So no one invited the chief or informed him. But chief was there. But the sheriff made them understand he's not here for politics. He and the chief are actually working together because they are covering some of our shift, and that's how it's supposed to work when you're short. He's short. So as much money he has, a $15-16 million budget just for the sheriff department, he's still short because officers are moving around. That's just the way it is. If you want to leave your job right now and go somewhere else, that's your prerogative. So if they, and again, everybody, is trying to do the best they can for their families. So you're probably going to go where there's more money. Now, Georgetown overall budget is, I think, right at $100 million, a little bit more. Myrtle Beach is a heck of a lot more, and they're paying their officers more. So people are leaving. Some of them want to go to DNR. My point is, this is always going to be a moving target. We just have to stay up. We got 10 officers trained over the last 10 years, but we can't keep up with the salary that Georgetown paid more anyone else. Now, not all left on that. They had their own end of a reason, which I won't get into that. But they came here and they worked, and they moved on. That's going to happen. Some not going to make it through the academy. So that's going to always be a revolving door. But I will tell you one thing, every year their salary went up. So when we fix things in the water and sewer area, then that gave us more money. When the taxes, that gave us more money to put into the police department, not just them, in public works. Every year, the staff received an increase in pay because we were fixing things and the money wasn't going into maintenance all the time. It was coming back for other things. Okay. So we talk about the gun violence. Where is there a place in this United States that don't have this challenge? Some of the biggest cities. We can talk about where it starts and where the, who all has we all have a responsibility. But that child, and most of them is in the 14 to 17-year-old. They can't be charged in many cases. So who has a responsibility first? Okay, I agree with you. Then they go to the school. If they're not disciplined, they cause problem. Then they come out here. Then we have to deal with them. But it is a community problem. It starts at home, though. Like all things starts at home. We have to be more attentive to our children. The guns, we take guns off of these young men and women, and they have another one the next day. And if they're keeping them in the house, we can't go in there just because we assume. I say we, the police department, not me. So that's another conversation we have to have with our parents and our adults or care providers. Let's pay a little bit more attention. Let's talk to the kids. Again, I see Mr. Butch Kennedy over here. He has a Boys and Men program that gets to some of these things to kind of show them a different way. Mentoring. We all had mentors coming up. Most of us guys in here that's over 40, 50, we had them. We know who they are. The young guys don't have that as much right now. So we got to get back to that kind of stuff. But that's going to always be a problem. It's not an excuse. That's just the way it is. We just got to work through it. Traffic control. Listen, if you're at the court today, you'll see about 30 people there, if not more. We're addressing the traffic and the speeding as best we can. Now, with these squat vehicles, those things now are outlawed as of, I think, last month. So squat vehicles, that's the ones that, drop down here, you can barely see over the top, and they're loud. That's just disturbing the peace. I know we get a lot of complaints about those things, and they'll start addressing those here shortly. The trucks, look, this town was not only founded on around the railroad track. One of the largest employers of the Georgetown County was the trucking industry. They're not going to go anywhere. Now we got to get a little bit more discipline to keep them off the side roads. But a lot of our men and now the women are taking over the trucking industry, by the way, if y'all not paying attention. Ladies are taking it over and doing a great job. But my point is that we're going to always have that challenge. But what we're asking the truckers, when you can, please take the bypass. If you're coming in the shop, that's fine. But it's really disrupting the old water systems and sewer systems that we have that's not very deep. Okay? So we got to work with that. The ambulance service. Now, who in here is against having an ambulance in Andrews? Anybody? But then if you look on this what do you call these things? The petition, we had a petition for over 1,000 names. I challenge you to go and see if anybody other than me in this race sign that petition. I challenge you to go back and see who was driving up and down the road to Georgetown to convince them to bring this thing back. I know who was there, and I know who wasn't. So if we can't unite, because again, we have 2 council members sitting up on that council up there. One made an attempt to address the issue and then faded away, and one never showed up. Where's the leadership? But I'm the bad guy. I wasn't brought up just to sit back and watch things happen unnecessarily. I was brought up to take care of people, love one another, love your neighbor, defend. My whole entire life has been defending the rights of others, whether it's domestic or foreign. I know how to do that. And so I will always, if we got an issue with this, I will always be on the front line. That's my job. Now I expect to see some troops behind me because you can't fight it by yourself. And so that's really, that's how we got to approach these kind of things. So these are the things, again, when you start hearing a lot of, And if you don't see people out addressing these things, then you have to ask the question, why are you here? Why do you want to be the mayor or a council member if you're not going to address something that everybody needs and is an ambulance? Okay? Now we'll talk quickly about this municipal complex. And I think I'm gonna zip through, because most of you know me, I had to, as I was preparing this slide presentation, I thought I would have to reintroduce myself to some folks, but I'm not gonna bore you with that. I'll step here for a minute and we'll come back to it. But I use this chart here, and we'll talk about economic stuff and all that business. So this chart, blame it on me if it's all jacked up because I put it together. But what I use this for when I go out and talk to people in the industry and state level or anywhere I go, I'm painting this picture about the potential of Andrews. Andrews sits obviously right here. We say this is a gateway. A lot of traffic comes through here. You know it. You can barely get out of the side road sometime. So then what we're telling them is that we are the center. We're the heart going to Charleston and Myrtle Beach. And if you're going north, you go into Darlington and Florence. We need to give people a reason to stop in Andrews and shop. That's our challenge. Okay? That's where we're challenged. And so what I tell them, now that we have this Black River State Park that's now in place, that's going to, and it already has, started to generate economic interest and growth. It's already happening. What we have to do as locals is don't miss the opportunities to have our own business. I mean, think about it. There's a 70-mile stretch of Black River from King Street down to Dunbar. And along those stretch is going to be places that you can see, that's ours right here. I'll talk to that in a little bit. But it's things similar to this where you can go kayaking, canoeing, lodging in some cases, all along that stretch. And that's going to generate, there's a huge enthusiastic group out here that loves doing this stuff. So guess what? People are coming to Andrews. They're going to need a place to stay. They're going to need to rent some of these things, whether it's a inner tube or a kayak or whatever the case may be, probably a wetsuit, all things, fishing gear. We don't have that here. Why don't somebody say, okay, let's project out. Let's have a vision and go ahead and put it in place and be ready when they come. Don't get ready, be ready, because it's already happening. Okay, we'll talk more about it, but this is what I use that chart for. And then again, I kind of highlight the fact that we're only about an hour from each of these two major cities. And we kind of talk a little bit about what we offer here. I don't think the skydiving school is here anymore, but we had one of only two skydiving schools in Andrews. We have an airport, that's an active airport. So when business owners like the gentleman just came from Miami this past month with the largest, he's the largest fabric distribution company that's now at Oneida. He said he got online and looked. I said, but how did you find Andrews from Miami? So I got online. He drove from Charleston to 41, so one of his distribution routes. So when he came in on the 1st of October, around that time, the first week of October, I said, okay, he'd already had his lease. I'm thinking it'd be a month or two down the line before he gets started. In 5 days, they were up and operational and running. So that's how fast things are happening. And again, this kind of lays out my background, but you guys know me. I'm just dedicated to Andrews. This is my home. And it's not going to change until God tells me that it's time for me to go do something else. Okay? It's not going to change. But that's just a little bit about me. And this is what we're faced with doing here is repairing the foundation. We talked about that. We talked about this first term really was trying to figure out what was wrong. Why did we have these consent orders? And then what do we need to do about them? And where's the money coming from? Grants are cyclic. There's a cycle. So all of you, if all of you have your budget, and at the time, I think we were right at about $3.4 million, something like that. But that money goes to maintenance, salaries, and all this other stuff. You're talking about, tens of millions of dollars to repair a lot of these things we were challenged with. So we had to figure it out. We didn't have maps. Mr. Johnson, he worked for the town for a long time. They didn't have trucks reliable trucks to get to the job site. Then when you got there, you didn't have the tools. So you have to fix those things first. You got to find where you can get those things. We had a trash truck that stayed in maintenance more than it was on the road. I remember the first year I was borrowing Georgetown, and to the point Georgetown said they couldn't do it anymore. And very quickly we made a decision, an executive decision, where we were going to get one. Put 2 guys on the train. They went to Quantico, Virginia, got into an Uber, and went to Manassas, got a truck, and they were back 11 o'clock the next night. And so my point is that you have to do these things. These are the things that are not sexy, you don't see above the ground, that we have to make those decisions daily. So we got that right. In December of 17, we had $13,000 in the bank. For a town that your monthly bills is somewhere in the neighborhood of $130,000 with salaries and all this other stuff. And again, when you have broken equipment, it can go up higher. So we had to get all of that broken stuff out of the way, and then get new stuff, cut down on your maintenance, and then you have that money to apply to other places. Sounds simple, but it's really juggling glass balls for a very long time. We still have a few up in the air, but not as many as we had before. But that's what we were doing. And so we got healthy through the end of the first term. The next term now was, okay, we got to get these folks the equipment. So again, in good standing, we qualified for USDA loans, and that's when we went out and purchased all of the trucks for the Public Works and the police department. I mean, the police vehicles were, it wasn't even a chase. If you get behind somebody, it's going to die out. Okay, that's just what happened. I watched that. You know, even during COVID, everybody was doing the birthdays, the drive-by and all that good stuff. And it seemed like they wanted the mayor and a police escort there all the time. And I recall Jones Avenue in Myrtle, we were lining up, and the young officer got a call. Said, hey, I got to go to this call. Roger. Took off, car died right at the Jerusalem Center in front of all these people. Embarrassing? Yes. So we had to fix those things. And now they have vehicles. Now we got that part fixed, and now we challenge them with recruiting and retention. We'll get that fixed, and they'll have all the stuff to do. We were out of compliance with the e-ticketing. We didn't have those things. We didn't have tasers, non-lethal things. You know, we don't want these guys, if you don't have to, don't pull that weapon. Use all of those non-lethal methods to get things under control before you do that, because we know what happens when we do it. Yes, sir.
And these are some of the things you inherit.
All of it. Yes, sir. We inherit all of that. Now, I will say that the town did purchase 4 Chargers, 4 or 5 just before. But again, if you're not driving those Chargers, well, then they're going to have mechanical problems. So they didn't last very long. So we just got away from that fleet. But so we got on our feet the second term. And again, we started having some good people coming in. The equipment is there. They're all going to training. We now have our first in-house water tech that is trained and certified by DHEC. So that cut, now I'll tell you, these people make, and hopefully she's not listening, these people make somewhere in the neighborhood of $80,000 to $90,000 a year with that kind of certification. High demand, and that career field is starting to dwindle out. But again, she decided to stay here. But my point is, we have those things in place, and that's what this thing, we're talking about repairing the foundation. A lot of stuff that you never see had to be done. Had to be done before we get here. Before we get to the point where we start talking about, now we have a strategic plan. We didn't have a map to tell you where the lines were. All of that was discovery learning. And to say that nothing has happened in 8 years is just being dishonest. So now we have maps. They're all automated. We have a problem over here. We know exactly where the lines are. We know where the manholes are. The valves is another challenge. We can talk about that again, later. But a lot of things that are important, critical, because again, when we had those water outages, you know why it was? Because we couldn't find a valve to isolate the problem. There are no valves, and the one we found wasn't working. That's why the entire town would be out of water. So if it's happening here and I can turn a valve here and turn here, then everybody else is going about their business. And the folks that are in the tub zone, would have to do without water, but we could not manage that. And there's still some challenges with that. But again, the money that we have now, we'll be able to address those issues as well. And these are the grants. Again, that's in your pamphlet. Again, they said we didn't have grant writers and all that other stuff. Well, it's right here in front of you, and the official documents in Town Hall if you choose to come by and take a look at them. Talked a little bit about the businesses that have come to Andrews in the last 8 years. There's a little bit, and all of them are not on here. And again, if there's any misspelling, y'all blame that on me. Little Caesar Pizza will probably be open in the first of next year. Great businessmen talking about doing other business in town. They're connected to the Detroit. I think the big owner is Detroit Tigers. And so he came down when they first bought the old cleaners. He told his managers on this end here, he said, hey, we're going to do well right here. He saw the traffic. He saw all the people going to the food trucks. He saw the need. But even more important, I think he was paying attention to this downtown master plan that we have that talks about over $4 million leaves Andrews, 15 miles away. We're spending over $4 million in food and beverage because it's not here. So how does that translate? Get your food and beverage place in Andrews. That's how that translates. The guy who just opened the coffee shop, he said, yeah, he heard the report, he listened to it. And that's what encouraged him to go do that business. So I say, again, don't wait. Now there's some that's still coming and developing. Tractor Supply is still under, I guess, in negotiation for the land, waiting on the fitness, Anytime Fitness. The rest of these guys are moving. And this is the company I was talking about, one of the largest fabric distribution company that's here right now. Don't believe me? Take a trip over to Oneida. And also over at Oneida, you have Shedcore. These are the guys you've seen all of these storage sheds popping up all over the place like little gremlins. These guys are building them right there, and they will customize them for you on site right here in Andrews. So we went out last week. I thought he was the only one out there. But again, we found that this guy was here, and there's two other companies that's out in Oneida. So they have warehouses that stayed intact. And I didn't know this. But a lot of times we go to and from home to your work, and we don't know what's happening on the other side of town. And it's really only 2.2 square miles, but it's happening. So hopefully we'll see some of you all up there next time we do this briefing, when I do the state of the town in a few weeks. Again, we talked a little bit about the water bill situation. Let's address that, because I don't believe in not addressing things or hiding. You got to understand the water system, and I say system, there's a lot of moving parts of that. That's the people, that's the equipment, that's the automation, all of that, and some of the stuff we don't own, like the billing system. All of that is connected, and if there's a break in that system, whether it's the people who are probably not reading them, or the meters are dead, not functioning properly, it's going to cause a problem. It's going to give you inaccurate reading. So you know what we went through with that. I'm not going to send out another set of bills until we get those things straight. And we're looking at probably next month. I guess we're already in the next month. But we thought we had it fixed and all sorted out. There was still about 300 accounts not accurately reading and buried around. So again, and then we found where some places have 2 and 3 houses on 1 meter. That's a no-no. So a lot of things are being discovered that we weren't expecting, that to get us online, because that's our revenue. We got to have that to pay the people to grow the town. And of all of this, in 8 years, your taxes only went up once, and that was in 2017. I believe in finding problems to keep the problem off your plate. So as we go through that, it wouldn't have been fair to any of you to disrupt your water service. So we made a decision, we're not going to disrupt your water service. But because we've done what we're supposed to do in these past 5-6 years, we had the revenue there that can cover until we started to collecting bills again. I'll say that again. I don't think that resonated. So we went from $13,000 in the bank to almost $1 million. We averaged between $700,000 to $1 million in our fund balance. That gave us the flexibility to cover the bills while we figure this out. And then when you got your bill, I think it was in June or July, whenever it was $411 in most cases. That was just a bare minimum average. Again, trying to keep the impact off of the citizen. So if you break that down by 6 months, you're probably paying somewhere in the neighborhood of about $40. You know, we added the trash in there because the trash you were getting that you were getting that service. So if you do the math, 6 months, $411, and how break that down, and then you go back before the issue started and look at your bill, you would say, okay, I don't want them to know that I'm only paying half of what I was paying in the past. No, we know, but we just didn't. It's not a right or wrong. It's that we had the ability as a government to absorb that and not lose on the other end. But for some reason, that's a campaign point. Just read the meter, Bert. So my name is Bert now. How disrespectful is that? That sounds real professional. Just read the meter, Bert. They made shirts. They're walking around with shirts that says, just read the dang meter. Read it. If you don't believe me, go to his page. Read the dang meter, Bert. So you see where I'm going with this thing? Why are you here? Real quick, this municipal complex, and I have a slide. I don't know how deep this slide in here. We got to talk about that because, again, that's another sticker point for, we'll talk next step. We'll get back there. Y'all remember that? We don't want that to go away. All right. So really, and I just throw this up here because, and I'll get to my point here. These are the things I track daily. This is, listen, the government, the way it's set up, you have to be a retired person to do an effective job, really. Or you have to be a business owner where you're making your money somewhere else, because $600 a month, and I know we complain about our mayors in the past where they're never here, where they have to work and support their families. But guess what? You have all the responsibilities for all the things I'm talking about because you're still responsible for it. And in the military, we teach you can delegate authority, but not responsibility. I can give you the authority to go do some things, but if it breaks, hey, okay, good to see you, sir, Mr. Marvin Neal. I know I kept looking over here, Mr. Marvin Neal with us. You guys know.
You don't make $600, but you make $540.
Yeah, 540, he said, because for taxes. So 540. But my point is, these are important things right here. Yes, we have a police chief. We have a public works director. We have town clerk, all folks who are managing the eaches. But again, as a decision maker, with a limited budget, you got to know what's going on because at any time something can break. One of those pumps in these lift stations that we have, 15 lift stations, 2 pumps in it, required to have 2 pumps. One of those pumps get rags caught up in it, shoes, and burns out. That's $10,000 off the top. 10,000 minimum. So when we say we got close to $1 million in our fund balance, if things go left, all of that could be absorbed now. So you can't just take that and throw it towards a problem, or put it on Main Street, like I heard, just because you haven't. No, because things happen. So a leader have to be in tune with all of this. And that's just a snapshot of what goes on. And think about if you're Columbia, it's crazy. But this is right here, what goes on with us. And I kind of have these things highlighted. These are the things I got in the executive branch here, which is myself, administrator, and the clerk. We focus on these things. We're talking loans. We're talking the management of this SKIP grant, which is, again, $7 million, very, very restrictive procedures we have to follow. These things. But I also have to know what's going on in the police department. If I don't know that he needs tasers and those things, then we can't allocate the funds for it. So to say that his words, not mine, I'm not saying, I'm not going to be in here every day for $500. That's fine. Then things will break. Things will slide right back into the ocean. or purgatory, whichever one, if you don't have, because you are the decision maker if you're sitting up here in a strong mayor form of government. You don't get to abdicate those responsibilities to someone else. You don't get to blame them because, again, the responsibility is yours. That's the bottom line. And if you're not ready for that, then it's probably need to find something else to do. Let's talk real quick on the roads. We all know the roads in town, and the town belongs to the state. Road, ditches, and sidewalks, all state responsibility. And you can look at them and you can tell that in many cases they weren't maintained. Part of that, we weren't challenging them to do so. Now, these things here, what we have now with these darker lines, these are roads right now that either been repaired, resurfaced, or in the process. MLK, I know you saw some of the patching going on. They'll be coming back through to resurface that. One of the worst roads was Cherry Road behind Piggly Wiggly. That was like a minefield back there. That's now smooth all the way from the railroad track down to where Mr. Booby Mays lived. And I'm sure he appreciate that. He's the only guy I see out riding a bike every day. We appreciate you, sir, and happy birthday to you. So this is what's happening now. Now, if we got a vote in this, we didn't get a vote. We have to figure out how do we get into the decision cycle for DOT. They decided on these roads, but we're trying to get ahead of that now so we can say, okay, what about Elmwood? East Elmwood is chopped up pretty bad from Magnolia up to across the railroad track. So I would have made one of those a priority. We know what's happening right now on Morgan. Well, Morgan is starting to cave in because there's an old clay pipe there that runs from Main Street all the way down to Alden. That $7 million that we have is going to address that. That whole thing will be gutted, repaved and paved and ready to go again. Beach is almost there. I don't know how much longer they have. They probably have less than 30 days to now do the resurfacing. I think they're reconnecting. Mr. RJ, I know it's been tough over there. Yeah, I know it's been tough. But the contractors now are putting in the sidewalk. They've reconnected everyone's water lines. We went from a 2-inch to a 6-inch water line. So you should have some really, really good pressure. Really good pressure coming off of that. And that line is no longer in the road. So if we have to go out and do repair in the years to come, we don't have to dig up the road to get to it. And that's a DOT requirement. But this is what's happening with the roads. And we got to understand. So then on their website, we can get on that website, and whether it's a light that's out or we want another light, DOT, real quick, get in there, there's a number on the light poles. If it's out, you can put it in there and they'll come out and fix it. They won't do it just on a phone call because they got so many other competitors that says, if you want to get it done, you're going to have to put it in the site. So on that page. We talked about this, again, another one of these friction points. So we talked about the ambulance. They're mad at me about that because I stayed on them. They told us, nope, you go away. We're not doing it. Because politicians don't listen to politicians. But if enough of our folks get out there and stay on top of them, because they know, just like for us, re-election is coming. But the squeaky wheel is the one that gets the grease. So that's right now, that's out. That's going to remain at Big Dam. So that puts, again, more time to respond here. You got a railroad track in between. The other impact is that now our volunteer fire department is now responding to more medical calls and medical assistance than they have ever. So they're right now at this point, they're almost 200 calls. I think I maybe is that in a little bit, but they're up in the close to 100 calls more than the entire last year, because this is not available. And again, we got some great firefighters. They're going to go to it. They're going to provide the service as best they can. But it's risky. It's a liability to us if they do something that we're not qualified to do. But that's a problem, and we should not let that just to the side. Now you look down here, that's the old Andrews High Gym. So while this is going on, we're fighting that fight, and they came down to this to set conditions for a training exercise. So they were going to demo that and then bring in the first responders to go, which is a great idea. They forgot they still had the gas system hooked up to it. So when he hit that, here comes our firefighters again. Now gas is emitting across, the town. They were smelling it down here. All of this, and then it put the community at risk. So I had to deal with that because I'm saying, when are you going to get this up? Still, no Raymond, no Everett. But this is a county doing this. But I'm the bad guy. I'm the bad guy. So this was a problem. And to be honest with you, they should have been fine. They should have been fine, but they found $320,000, I think $322,000 to get it cleaned up. After we called and other people called and complaining, they finally came out and cleaned the thing up and went on. But it was just like, okay. And this decision was made at a low level, the supervisory level, not with the council members, not with the administrator, because again, it was intended to be, again, good idea, just bad call. Very experienced young man that's running the EOC. But this was a bad call. And when you start looking at these things, you start looking at the municipal complex, you start looking at the fact that they've got our property value so low that if we needed to get a loan, we couldn't get one. All of this you can see online. So for town hall and the $3 million we put into that building, that's assessed at $222,000. That's a half a block. Okay? Now you go to the pavilion, we just had an event at this past Saturday, just that pavilion that the town of Andrews sold to the county for $1 years ago, that pavilion is assessed at $293,000. So a concrete slab and a roof is worth more than where we work and the new building. So let's go next door to the library, county owned. That's assessed at $1.2 million. Andrews sold them that land for $5. And in 1999, we also did a resolution and gave them all of our hospitality dollars, which was some in the neighborhood, I guess, $60,000, $70,000 a year. That money is specifically for streetscape. So your hospitality funds, you have your accommodations and you have your hospitality. We get all that money back. That is by law, you got to put that in the streetscape. Well, we gave it away for some reason in 1999. And up until 2 months ago, when we went back, the council voted, no, we want our money back. Now, we didn't know this, but when we find out, we address it. But I'm the bad guy. I'm the bad guy. I'm not asking them for a dime to help us with anything that's not their responsibility. So now we transition forward again, so you see what's happening here. And this building, by the way, where the ambulance was not in bad shape. We went there. There was a couple of leaks in each of the corner, but again, we probably will never know the real reason. So now we find ourselves here in 2023, election time again. These issues still unresolved. Now they just announced last week that they want another penny sales tax. And I'm sure that they assume that if McCleary is in the seat, it's going to be a problem. I'm just showing you this slide here. This kind of shows where all the ambulances are in the county. You know where this is. You know what's happening over here along 51 and all that business. And here's little Andrews with nothing. It has to even come from here to here or from Big Dam to here. But it used to be right here, right across the street. But I'm the bad guy. That's Ebenezer. Now, this is not a county issue. This is a state issue. That right here, that intersection is a major problem. We all know that. Yes. I almost bought it a few months ago. Mr. Jerome almost bought it. My dad and several others. And then there were actually collisions. Those were captured on video. We've sent these videos to state. We've sent them to everyone. We can't get anything. I think there were some adjustments. In 2018, matter of fact, I wrote a letter to South Carolina Department of Transportation. We got some of the things I asked for. I'm still asking for sidewalks for our kids out in the elementary school. because the kids, they intentionally, deliberately put that apartment complex, because it's low to moderate income, over there, annex it into Andrews so the kids can be closer. So why not put crossing signs? Why not slow down the traffic? I've personally seen kids during inclement weather with plastic bags on their feet to keep them getting wet, because there are no sidewalks and go out there if you don't believe me, there are no crossings. You go across the street to the other apartments, there are no crossings. And a lot of times there are no crossing guards. But I'm the bad guy. So I showed you this. This really gets to, we'll talk about this municipal complex real quick. What we were trying to, and again, some of the thought behind it, because it's important to understand, when we were laying this thing out, this building is over 100 years old. This building, its initial purpose for this building was a part of a segregated school. Then it became DMV, now town hall, all those things. So it has seen the best of its days. It's filled with a lot of bad stuff that we have to breathe. I bet you 40, as my dad would say, not my dad, but I bet you 40 quarters to a donut. If anybody from their family lived in this, here are the conditions. You go in there, where's the stall? Yeah, these are the stalls that, wooden stalls. I mean, it's like a wooden gate. It's like farm animals. That's there right now. These old toilets. This is in fact, my brother, God bless his soul, in 2006 when we came in, I said, look, let's put some tile down here. Do we have another one? I think there's another one. What it's telling me is it's about time to shut it down. Testing. It's a new birthday young lady here. She's 8 years old. Last month, she said last month. Testing. Okay, here we go. It could be that's better. Okay. So the bottom line is that this place is not suitable for people to live and work. We've had environmental studies done. It is not healthy to breathe in this thing. And again, if others' family members were in there, this wouldn't be a discussion. Think about it. It's not okay. This was the conditions of the fire department with chemical, because that was once the old treatment facility for public works where they do a lot of chemical stuff in there. We had to bring in a hazmat team to remove all of that stuff before they start to condemn that building back there. That was about a 6-bay building. So what we're telling them, okay, and because this money that you all, everybody that lived here from 2014 up to 2019, if you made a purchase of any kind, you paid into this penny sales tax. So 1 cent. It didn't say Andrews get this much. It didn't say Polly's Island because, you're the probably richer part of that's not how it's designed. It's not laid out that way. When we have visitors come in, everybody who purchased something contributed to this penny sales tax. Long story short, the estimate of this thing, I can talk without it. So a part of that whole process, whenever the citizens of Georgetown County voted on this sales tax, the estimates, they voted on five projects. Andrews is number 3. They did an estimate because there was no study required to do it. They just said, okay, here are the 5 projects. And they decided to say, okay, we're going to fully fund all of them. That was the option that the county made. Fully fund, not partially. Fully. The state gave them an option. You can partially fund it or you can fully fund it. Once you say fully fund and vote on this ordinance, that's the law. That's it. You have to follow that. And it says in priority, Andrews is number 3. So they estimated they were going to get 28 million over this 4-year period of collecting these pennies. They got 41 million. Now, once you fully fund your obligation, then the county can go back and say, okay, we'll do another ordinance and say we're going to have new projects. But you can't do that until you take care of what the people voted for. Now, their estimates was for Andrews, well, one project, $8 million. I think that was a dredging in Merle's Inlet, I believe. $8 million for that project, $2.3 million in addition just to move the debris away. So they were doing the dredging, making it a little bit more passable for, I think, maybe recreational boats and some commercial, I believe. Both of them. And then Georgetown was going to get the same thing. They wanted dredging, but there was grossly underestimated. They had $6 million estimated for it. Something happened. They said, nope, it's going to be $66 million. So that project, or somewhere in the neighborhood, is probably higher now. So that project was put on the shelf. Number 3 was Andrews. Again, estimated at 1.5, which I think people who were doing this estimate know that wasn't going to cut the mustard. But the good thing is inside of that ordinance, it says, if you have to go back, if you underestimate it, you got to pull that money and put it to that project. You can't do anything else with it because the law says this is what it's intended for. It's that simple. But apparently nobody challenged them or read this thing until a couple of us showed up. So in 2019, this is when the tide turned for Frank McCleary as the mayor. It was all good. We were doing whatever we were doing and we were good. But when it came down to this building and certain people didn't have their way, or I brought a lot of things to their attention, I became the bad guy. All I wanted, this building doesn't go with me when I decide to leave as a mayor. This building is the town's building.
You leave it as a mayor?
No, sir. No, sir. I'm not going anywhere. All right, we're gonna have to get Reverend Chandler back. I'm gonna wrap up, sir. So, because this is important. Now, of course, it's been pending 2 years. They keep booting this thing down the road and say, well, maybe if we get rid of Frank McCleary and this year, then we'll go ahead and do something different. Yes. It's not gonna happen. So Andrews was that third project. The other ones behind that, the fourth one was, I think about 7 or 9 substation, fire stations, which they don't have all of those manned. Some of them don't have fire trucks. So why would you put all that money in there that doesn't have a plan to put it into operation? That's a waste of money. So then the last one was 104 roads. In 2007 and 9, when I was the chief of staff in Fort Irwin, it cost $1 million a mile to pave a road. Why would you put 104 roads? And I know that was in 2009. You fast forward to, let's even go back to 14 to 19. You're not going to get 104 roads paved with this money, even if you applied all 41 million. It's not going to happen. But I'm not worried about it. I'm worried about number 3. And so then what happened is they took that money before we even completed this thing, before they even completed their projects, and they started shelling money out to the technical schools. That is against the law. You can't apply the money to anything until you complete this. That's in the book. I had multiple meetings with these folks to point that out before we even filed the lawsuit. I guess they thought it was going away, but I'm not. So they did not follow the guidelines. Now they went in and created these documents to try to cut, but the date stamps are there. And we're not even dealing with that part. We just want, because you still have the money. Now let me show you what they did. They said, well, no, we're not going to deal with you. Your lives are not that important. Stay in that old infested place that's collapsing. Things falling out the ceiling right where you pay your water bill, all that's happening. So we'll take the money, disregard Andrews, and we'll take 7, give each council member $1 million each. This right here represents all of this, about $7 million of projects that was brought in by each of the council members. because there's still $16 million left. They still could have, hey, let's just go ahead and do the right thing and move on and still give them the money and still have some left over. But because we're Andrews and it's me, I'm the bad guy. So again, we're living in the conditions that we're in. This particular one here that has this highlight around it, this is at Waverly Road. It's a multimodal trail. $1.8 million for a trail up in the neck to ride your golf cart in a smooth path, I guess, for people to walk. They've got 300 some odd thousand going into basketball, renovating basketball courts and putting in tennis courts. All of this was more important than the lives of the people that work in this trap. But because I bring this to their attention, I'm the bad guy. Because I asked for what you've already voted for, I'm the bad guy. This can't stand. So you see why it's important for them to, I think that's the last slide, for me to be out of, and that's about it on time, for me to be out of the way. But that's not going to happen. We need everybody to get out and vote, because if you think this won't continue, if you think it won't continue, allow Mr. Baber to come in here. Allow him to come in, who don't have the time. He's already stated he ain't going to take the time. He don't have the experience. I got 38 years of government experience. 38. 15 of that is contracting, is what we deal with. So when we start talking about lining up the resumes, now I can't go in there and preach a sermon. I won't even try that. I don't have a divinity degree. No, I'm not. I won't play with. So I'm not going to, I'm going to stay where I'm trained, educated to do. That's my gift from God, to be a leader, to deal with these things. In 2015, when I was retiring, I said, I'm going to make a lot of money as a colonel. Everybody wants a little colonel somewhere. Divine Intervention said, no, you're going back home to Andrews. I turned down that $150,000 job, which I'm sure I've been doing a little bit better by now, to come here. I told him when he flew out to Shaw Air Force Base, I introduced him to other colonels. And I told him, if I can't do this job from Andrews, I'm not your guy. So I'm here. That's my level of commitment. I own the home that I live in. I pay taxes here. So I'm here. This is Andrews. I was born, now a lot of y'all were probably born in Georgetown County Memorial. I was born on the hill in that house where Mr. Booby Million's house sits right now. On the hill. On the hill. So everything about me is Andrews. I'm a yellow jacket until I die. I'm committed. And we've got a lot of things in place. We're on good footing, and we want to continue that work. And so we're asking you on the 7th of November, no, tomorrow, the 3rd of November, go to Georgetown Voters Registration Office and vote. Don't get too busy and forget about this. We'll have another opportunity on the 7th, here all day long. We have to vote. Take somebody with you. It's that important. I'm telling you, I know this system. I know what we're dealing with. And for somebody to come in here, I mean, you could be one of the smartest persons, but if you don't understand the system that's here, you're going to miss some critical dates and things are going to be bad, because DHEC tolerance for us asking for forgiveness is gone. If we don't put the money where it's supposed to be, it's going to be a catastrophic situation. We don't need to relearn the things that we've learned. We've got people in place. Things are moving forward. We got about $10 million right now to get contracted. And so let's be smart about this. You know, Last year, my name was submitted as a reference. So I was a reference. If I'm a bad guy, I ain't done nothing. Why would you use me as a reference? The other question is, where are you going? Where are you going? You leaving Andrews? You better think about it. I'm just telling you, because since we're talking, text messages and things that we've had, you use me as a reference. And I don't know who else knows that. But where were you going? Are you committed to this? Because this is not a 4-year problem to fix. Okay? So he had his opportunity to come out and talk. He declined. No debate, no vote. No debate, no vote. I'll pause there for any question that I haven't covered. Hopefully I covered everything, but we got Mr. Jamie Pinesett here with us tonight. He's also a candidate for council.
Member Perry, I got a couple of things.
Yes, sir.
One serious note. Based on that example that we gave, it sounds as if funds was misappropriated in regard to the building from those that was responsible. In other words, monies that should have been allocated to complete the building was taken from Andrew and put in other areas of the county when it was clearly not for that particular purpose. That's kind of like where we was with that.
And what I'll say to that, because this is a court case, what I will say is FOIA the documents, look at the ordinance, follow the timeline, and you'll have the answer.
Quick. And the reason I propose that is because it appears that to whom it applies to, if they can remove our mayor or stop him from being the mayor again, then they will somewhat be home free, and we still will be behind the 8 ball. And we, as Aisha was born and raised in Andrews, love Andrews. I am also a Yellow Jacket, and I think about the showing tonight, and I believe that we that are here is going to show our support by standing and giving you a great round of applause because you did a great presentation.
Yes, sir. And we won't cover this, but you see these charts around the room? These are excerpts from the master plan. So we're at a place right now where these things are going to come. We're talking about a career center for our kids, which we're in coordination with the school, to have a agricultural, all those things that the kids have to go to Georgetown to get now. That's a part of the overall plan. Downtown revitalization is a part of that plan. Generating revenue or generating interest for people to come in, that's a part of that plan. And as I said earlier, that's happening. So this was left at one of my headquarters, and I think in here. So you heard what I said. You can take a look at this wish list and see what's happening. Because again, the police department, I don't control that. Lower crime, that's a country, a world problem. We would love that. I'm all on board, but to say a mayor's going to do that, that's not how it works. Decrease the drugs. You can only, I won't say that, but decrease the drugs. Increase civic involvement. That's important. And I will tell you, these parades, this festival, the Main Street, Makers on Main Street, the Halloween block event, civic involvement is here. You just have to come out and be a part of it. I can get along with anybody. So it says, hey, McClary don't get along. I don't get along with people who don't have Andrews in his best interest. But once they get on board, we're good. It's a lot about cutting the grass. Well, Andrews grass is more than just two between the stoplights. That doesn't give you, that's just a sound bite, it's a snapshot. That doesn't cover Jones Avenue. That doesn't clear that block and a half. Yeah, the west side. Yeah. Fix the water bill. We're all on board with that. It's not the bill, it's the service. So we got the service. We're going to continue to work with you to make sure we get it right. And so that's in progress. Create and implement growth-friendly budget. Not sure what that means. It says grants and supplemental income. Not sure what supplemental income. That doesn't apply to anything. That, yeah. Not sure what that is. Make our streets driver friendly. I'm with them. Potholes, yes. So I don't know what it is. Guys will fix it, and it'll sink. So we got to go back out. I'm with you on that. We just got to. And they're improving in that business. Change the culture. Change the culture. And finish the town hall. Listen, that's finish the town hall. So if we haven't, so is that a part of the agreement? Get McClary out of the way and we're going to give you the money? That's bad business. New housing and tourism plan. Ask for help. That's why I got $18 million. It didn't come out of my pocket. So I think we're well grounded again and on a platform now to continue to move the town forward. I appreciate you all coming out. I'll be available. We can talk more about it. The plan is a 75-page plan. We'll have it online. I think next week the website will be up and operational. All that stuff will be on there. So little things like that. Things are happening. Again, I appreciate everyone. Yes, sir.
One quick thing. At the beginning, you mentioned something that someone had encountered some issues at the voting poll.
Yes, sir.
We need to just make sure that all our citizens understand that in no circumstances are they to depart the precinct of the voting poll. There's an issue with it without completing that provision about it, so that they can go to the county election offices and be validated.
Yes, and again, this young lady was very persistent, and when they went back and checked, she was in fact in there. But this is the second that I know of, and so that's a little concerning.
Because they've been having issues with that across the entire state of South Carolina. So every election, turning people away when they have a right and an obligation to get their position about it, fill it out, then it goes to the county election office, and they're the one that validates.
That's right. That's right. And again, hey, thank all, anybody who wants to run for office, big kudos to them. But again, it's just not meant for everybody. Yes, sir.
I just want to say, just a brief statement. The NAACP is nonpartisan. One thing that we are definitely in support, and that's underserved communities that's not being treated fair. That 1 cent sales tax, like the mayor said, I came here for a debate tonight. Even though it's just him. But that 1 cent sales tax that he's talking about, that's something that we trailed and tracked at the time that it was introduced under Sal Emmett. That was always the challenge. And we dealt with a situation in Tennessee recently that they just won a lawsuit behind the same issues. Underserved minority communities not being treated fairly and trying to get the black mayorship out of those areas. And the whole idea was to take over that township. So don't fall for the okie doke. That same money that you see up there is still available. Okay?
All right.
He needs to stick to the plan.
That's right.
I'm not endorsing him, but when you have someone in your hands that's true leadership. I'm a retired chief warrant officer in the United States Army. I know what he does, and he know what I do. And don't lose sight of that when you go to that poll, because starting all over again, it could get rough. And I'm saying that if you look at the city of Georgetown right now, it's rough. Don't repeat the same mistake. Don't do it twice. And don't be personal about voting. Be intentional about voting. And if you have concerns at that poll, if you need to call me direct, you call me. If you call Jerome Johnson, we'll get it straight. Don't leave that poll, like you said, without pulling up the provisional ballot. Not only that, on the certification of that ballot, you need to be there also. Because if you're not there for the certification, once you fill out the provisional ballot, then it's going to be trash. So you also have to be for the certification. I think it's 2 days out. They'll let you know that at the poll. So whoever fills out a provisional ballot, make sure you find out when is the certification of the election. That's important.
Introduce yourself.
My name is Marvin Neal. I'm the 3rd Vice President of South Carolina State Conference, NAACP. That's all. Right. I came in tonight just to make sure you go around just making sure people are treated fairly. Oh, wonderful. Fairness is necessary. Voting is a right. Okay, and don't lose sight of that. It's not a privilege, it's a right. Everyone should have this God-given right. Don't look at it any other way. So that's all I have to say, Mayor. Y'all need me? Call me. Leave me. The mayor has my number. A lot of people in this room have them. But y'all speak out. Jerome has my number. Call Jerome. You can't reach Jerome, call. I can name you. Don't get me. It's all right. Well, there's some other follow-up that I've done on that $3.2 million. I'll give you that information.
Okay, thanks, sir. And again, I got to say this because, and I'll shut up and go home. In this business you talked about, we serve in, it's a multicultural race, ability. It's a unit. I'm a little bit disappointed that the majority of the audience in here now is African American, because I am the mayor for this town. That's all people, and I see that illuminates. I'm not going to mistreat anyone. People that know me in these 8 years, when there's a problem, I'm there regardless of what your color, your religion, I'm there. So for us not to be represented as a community in here is a little disheartening. But I think those who I've worked with and know me, they know where my heart is. They may not be able to make it out tonight, but I want everybody to understand that I'm a fair guy. And I'm going to work with you. We're going to get it done, and we're going to get it done together. That's who I am. That's how I was raised. That's how I was trained. And that's how I'm going to live. So I appreciate you all. Safe travels back. And we're going to get, sir, could you give us some prayer, safe travels? And we got great pastor here.
Let's stand. Let's bow. Gracious Father, first, God, we just want to tell you thank you, God.
Thank you, God.
For you are an awesome God.
Yes.
And we thank you for this time that you have brought the community together and all of the wisdom, the knowledge, and the education that has been shared in this room.
Yes.
Now, God, give us the mind to exercise our right to vote. We place it in your hands because you know the need of this town, and you know who you have appointed to be the leader of this town. And so, God, we're trusting you.
Yes.
We're seeking your guidance because we know what's best for you. So, God, give us the mind to go out to exercise our right to vote. And in voting, God, we know that you're already working it out.
Yes.
And we claim victory in advance, and we praise you in advance for what you've done, for what you're doing, and for what you're going to do. Thank you for this time that you have brought us together. Cover each person that is represented here tonight and each family. Pray for peace in our home and that we all have safe travel
when we leave this place. We love you, God, in Jesus' name. Amen.
Hey, please get to know Mr. Jamie back here. Stop, and Mr. Jamie over here. If y'all don't know him, get to know this young man.
U.S. Attorney.
Okay.
Get the mic off of the mayor. Well, oh, my bad. All right, everybody. I appreciate everybody for hanging in there. As you can see, it's the end of it right now. Let me turn this camera around. Veronica, turn this around. And yes, we did pull that off tonight. Hey. Okay. All right, so yeah, we got that done. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I appreciate you guys tapping in. Let's see, can I get these last bit of comments up here? So yeah, we got that done, and again, thank you guys for participating. And I'm about to sign off right now. Remember to follow Welcome to Angels, the podcast. You can find us definitely on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram. You can find us on audio on Spotify, audio and video on Spotify. So tap in, check us out. We is out ya. Peace.